The cage you can't see. There is a prison so subtle most people never notice they live in it. No bars, no walls, no guards, just a constant voice in your head saying, I think, I want, I need, I deserve. We call that voice myself, and we spend our whole lives defending it, polishing it, feeding it. Yet have you noticed, the more you focus on this self, the less free you feel. The more you ask, who am I? What about my feelings? What will they think of me? The more tangled you become in anxiety, comparison, and fear. Strange, isn't it, that the thing you protect most fiercely is the very thing that keeps you bound? The paradox at the heart of your suffering is this: freedom does not begin where the self is perfected. Freedom begins where the self ends. Not where you finally become the ideal version of me, but where you stop clutching that me so tightly that life can no longer move through you. Think back to a moment when you forgot yourself. Maybe it was when you were lost in music, or laughing so hard your stomach hurt, or helping a friend and suddenly realizing you hadn't thought about your own problems for hours. For just a brief time, you were not silently judging your appearance, or rehearsing how others saw you, or worrying about your status in the story. You were simply there, whole, absorbed, free. Notice how light that felt. No one had to hand you freedom. It was there as soon as you got out of the way. That is what we're talking about. That is where we are going. The Stoic path is not about constructing a perfect identity that never trembles, never doubts, never falls. It is about seeing that the identity you're trying to solidify is made of smoke. You cannot build your freedom on something that constantly changes. Your face changes, your thoughts change, your reputation changes, your opinions, your desires, your fears. All of them rise and fall like waves. And yet, you insist on calling this turbulence me, as though you were nothing more than a flickering pattern in a restless mind. Look honestly, has clinging to this me ever given you peace for more than a fleeting moment? You say, I'll be free when I finally like myself, when other people approve of me, when my life looks the way I imagine it. But every time you reach one of those moments, a new demand appears, a new fear, a new comparison. The cage doesn't open. It simply repaints its walls. So perhaps the question is not, how do I fix myself? Perhaps the question is, who is this self I'm trying so desperately to fix? The invention called me. From the moment you were born, the world began to tell you who you are. You are this name. You belong to this family. You're good at this, bad at that. You are smart, lazy, sensitive, stubborn. Piece by piece, you collected these reflections like mirrors around a room, until one day you woke up surrounded by a mosaic of other people's impressions and called it myself. But is that truly you? If tomorrow everyone forgot your name, would you vanish? If your status collapsed, would your existence be erased? If every story you tell about yourself were removed, would there be nothing left? Of course not. You'd still be here, breathing, seeing, feeling, aware. The Stoic looks at this and says, what you call self is largely a collection of stories, roles, and labels stitched together by memory and repetition. Useful? Sometimes. Real? Only superficially. You need some sense of me to function in the world, to sign your name, fulfill your promises, navigate relationships and responsibilities. But that me was never meant to be your prison warden. It was meant to be a tool. Instead, you've put it on the throne. You treat it as something sacred and solid, when in truth, it is shifting every moment. Think of who you were at 10 years old, at 16, at 25. If that version of you walked into the room today, would you fully agree with them? Would you make the same choices? Hold the same opinions? Probably not. So which self is the real one? The answer is simple, though the ego hates it. None of them, and all of them. They are changing expressions, like different waves on the same sea. You are not the wave, you are the sea. Freedom begins when you stop worshipping the wave and remember the water, the burden of always being you. Have you noticed how exhausting it is to maintain an image? To always be the strong one, the smart one, the funny one, the spiritual one, the successful one, the victim, the fixer, the misunderstood soul. Whatever costume the ego has chosen, it will defend it to the death. Even when it hurts you, even when it locks you into a narrow script, even when life is clearly inviting you to grow beyond that role. You argue with reality, not because reality is cruel, but because you are terrified of not knowing who you are without the role. I can't let this go. Who would I be if I did? That question is the doorway to freedom. You have clung so hard to your story that you've forgotten you are the one telling it. The Stoic does not deny his individuality, but he does not mistake it for his essence. He sees that being overly concerned with my status, my feelings, my importance, turns every situation into a personal drama. A delayed flight becomes a personal insult. A friend's silence becomes proof of rejection. A stranger's glance becomes a judgment. When the self is at the center of everything, everything becomes heavy. But consider this. Is the sunset less beautiful when you forget to take a selfie with it? Is a kindness less real if no one mentions your name afterward? Is your life less meaningful when you are not thinking about how meaningful it is? No. In fact, those are the moments you feel most alive, when you are too present to be self-conscious. Freedom begins where the obsession with yourself ends, when you get out of your own way. Think of a musician completely lost in playing. For a while, there is no me playing the instrument. There is only the music. Think of an athlete fully immersed in the game. For a while, there is no me trying to win. There is only movement, instinct, flow. Think of a parent holding their sleeping child. For a while, there is no me performing the role of parent. There is just warmth, breath, love. If you look closely at your most beautiful memories, you'll notice a hidden pattern. You weren't thinking about yourself. You were absorbed in what was happening. The Stoic seeks that way of being not as a rare accident, but as a way of life. Not by rejecting the world, but by participating in it so fully that the little commentator called me quietly steps aside. When you are truly present, the self recedes to the background. You respond rather than perform. You listen rather than defend. You act rather than obsess. You are not trying to be free. You simply are free, because in that moment, you're not busy protecting an image. You're too immersed in living. This is the paradox. The more you chase freedom for me, the more imprisoned you feel. Because me always wants more. More security, more praise, more control, more proof that it exists and matters. But the moment you forget to ask, "What about me?" something loosens. You notice the texture of the air, the color of the sky, the tone in the other person's voice, the simple fact that you are here, now, breathing in a world that did not have to include you, but mysteriously does. In that gap, freedom enters, not as a trophy you win, but as the absence of the chains you didn't know you were wearing. Freedom from control. So much of your suffering comes from trying to make the universe revolve around your personal script. You want events to align with your plans, people to behave according to your expectations, your body to obey your preferences, time to conform to your schedule. And when they don't, you feel betrayed, offended, victimized. But the world is not disobeying you. It never agreed to follow your orders. The Stoic does not waste energy resenting what he cannot control. He recognizes that clinging to the illusion of control is just another way of clinging to the self. I need things to go my way so that I can feel okay. What if you reversed that? What if you said, I will let go of needing things to go my way so that I can discover what it is to simply be okay? What drops away? The inner argument with reality, the constant tension in your shoulders, the quiet voice saying, this moment is not enough. I must rearrange it. I must win against it. Freedom begins the moment you stop treating life as a personal negotiation. When you sit back internally and say, here it is. This is what is happening. I may not have chosen it, but I am here with it. What is the wisest response available now? In that simple shift, you step out of the self-centered movie and into direct participation with reality. You have not disappeared. You have simply moved from resisting life to cooperating with it. That cooperation is true power, freedom in love. Even in love, the self tries to rule. I need you to complete me. I need you to act a certain way so I can feel secure. I need you to validate my worth. This is not love. This is dependence wearing romantic clothing. When the self is in charge, love becomes a transaction. I give in order to receive. But the freedom we're talking about begins when love is no longer centered on me. The Stoic does not love coldly. He loves deeply, but with understanding. He knows that the person in front of him is not here to feed his ego or fulfill his script. They are a mystery, a soul with its own path, its own fears, its own longing. To truly love is to see beyond, what do they mean to me? And into, what are they in themselves? How can I honor that? When the self loosens its grip on love, something beautiful happens. Jealousy softens. Control relaxes. Fear of abandonment loses its teeth. Because love is no longer a cage. It becomes a space where both can grow. You are not trying to own the other. You are not trying to use them as a mirror of your worth. You are simply grateful to walk beside them for however long life allows. That is a free love. And only a free heart can offer it. Freedom from fear. At the root of the self is fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being rejected. Fear of being invisible. Fear of dying. The self believes that if it can gather enough achievements, praise and security, it will finally feel safe. But safety built on the shifting sands of circumstance will always be fragile. As long as your identity depends on what can be taken from you, you are vulnerable. The Stoic looks at this and asks a radical question. What if I base my freedom not on what happens outside me, but on how I relate to it? What if I stop demanding that life guarantee my self-image, and instead discover a part of me that does not crumble when the image is shaken? That part is awareness itself, the simple fact that you are here, conscious, able to witness joy and pain, gain and loss, without being destroyed by either. When you rest in that awareness, fear loosens. Not because nothing can hurt the body, but because nothing can take away your ability to meet what comes with dignity, clarity, and presence. Freedom begins where the fear-ridden self stops running the show. You still feel fear, the body is human, but you no longer worship it as truth. You see it as weather. You let it pass. You do what is right, not what is safe for your ego. The sky behind the clouds. Imagine for a moment that your sense of self is like passing weather. Clouds gather, some light and soft, some dark and heavy. They are your thoughts, your moods, your stories, your identities. Sometimes the sky is clear. You feel light, expansive, whole. Sometimes it is stormy. You feel contracted, anxious, small. But in all of this, has the sky itself ever been harmed? The sky allows every cloud but is not defined by any of them. The Stoic learns to live as the sky. He knows he will have cloudy days. He does not pretend otherwise. But he does not say, "I am the storm." He says, "A storm is passing through. I will observe it, feel it, but I will not mistake it for what I fundamentally am." Freedom begins when you stop identifying with every mental cloud and instead rest as the open, spacious awareness behind them. From that space, you can act wisely. You can feel deeply without drowning. You can love fully without clinging. You can lose without being lost. Because what you truly are is not the self you've been defending, but the vastness in which that self appears and disappears, a practice of letting the self fall away. Let's bring this down from the clouds of concept to something you can feel. Wherever you are, if it's safe, let your body relax just a bit more. Notice how you're sitting, or lying, or standing. Notice the sounds around you. Notice the breath going in and out. Now, imagine gently setting aside the idea of me for just a moment. You don't have to get rid of it forever. Just put it on the table and step back. For these few breaths, you are not your name. You are not your history. You are not your problems. You are not your achievements. You are simply this awareness. Here, now, listening. Thoughts may arise. I don't know if I'm doing this right. That's strange. I like this. I don't like this. That's fine. Let them move, but don't climb inside them. Let them be like voices in another room. Right here, in this simple noticing, what are you lacking? For a moment, the self is not an issue. There is just aliveness. This silent, present, unadorned being is closer to your true nature than any story you tell about yourself. Freedom begins each time you return here, not as an escape from life, but as a reminder of what you are beneath the noise. From this place, you go back into the world, into work, relationships, challenges, but slightly lighter, a little less attached to the drama of me, a little more rooted in the vastness that holds it all, the gentle ending of me. Freedom does not demand that you violently destroy your sense of self. It asks only that you stop worshipping it. You will still sign your name. You will still say I and me. You will still have preferences, dreams, opinions, but you will hold them like you hold a bird in your hands, gently, knowing it is not yours to keep. You will laugh at yourself more easily, apologize more freely, let others be themselves without needing them to protect your image. You will move through each day with a little more spaciousness inside, a sense that you are not trapped inside your own story. Freedom begins where the self ends, or rather, where the self steps down from the throne and becomes what it was always meant to be, a useful mask, not your true face. And when the time comes to take that mask off completely, when your life in this form reaches its final breath, you will not clutch at it in terror. You will know that you were always more than the character you played. You will recognize yourself as the silent witness who watched the whole story, beginning to end. And in that recognition, you will find the only freedom that cannot be taken away. In the meantime, as you wake tomorrow, drink your coffee, answer your messages, face your challenges, remember this: you do not have to carry yourself so tightly. Let it loosen. Let life, at least for a few moments each day, flow through you without the constant question, what does this say about me? Let there be times when you are simply here, watching the light, listening to the wind, doing the next simple thing without performance. In those moments you will know, not as theory, but as living truth, that freedom has never been hiding in the future, in a better version of you. It was waiting, quietly, patiently, just beyond the edge of who you think you are. Freedom begins where the self ends, and that freedom is available right now.